Will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, you know, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication.
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, you know, don't just start rolling.
Imagine a story where a son turns against his own father and shares family secrets with the authorities. In this plot, Jaden starts revealing private information about Will, claiming he was involved in strange and secretive events. According to the story, Jaden isn't just talking to gossip outlets, she's also working with writers, federal agents, and people who once knew powerful figures like Jeffrey Epstein and Diddy. In this fictional world, Jaden's statements paint his parents as major players in a hidden network where power, pressure, and private rituals mix behind the scenes. These claims aren't treated as simple rumors in the story. They could completely damage the Smith family's public image and pull other big names in entertainment into a scandal that has supposedly been building for years.
To me, as Wild King nights. And what a Wild King night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil.
In this story, the accusations are intense. People close to the situation say that Jaden claims he was pushed into these secret gatherings by his own parents. In his version of events, Will and Jada are part of a hidden group that some insiders compare to powerful circles like the ones linked to Epstein and Diddy, places where influence and silence supposedly go hand in hand. This isn't presented as simple gossip in the story. It's about a 26-year-old who grew up famous and is now acting like a whistleblower with nothing left to lose, and the timing makes everything even more dramatic. Just a few months earlier, Will was already in the spotlight for negative reasons after his criticized performance with Spanish singer India Martinez at the Premier Lo Nuestro Awards in February 2025, where some fans said he gave off creepy old man vibes. But in this fictional plot, that issue is nothing compared to what's happening now. If even a small part of Jaden's claims were true in the story, it could set off.
Will was bent over on the couch and Dwayne was standing up. Like murder. It was murder in there.
Let's go back to where this whole story begins to fall apart. Will Smith has always been seen as the charming, family-focused superstar, the same man who slapped Chris Rock on live TV to defend Jada. Later, he said he was surprised when Jada called herself his wife during that Oscar moment, since they had actually been separated since 2016. But in this fictional storyline, things behind the scenes look very different. A former associate named Bilal, who once claimed to be Will's closest friend, has shocking accusations that pushed the Smiths to threaten legal action. Bilal says he once walked in on Will and actor Dwayne Martin in an intimate situation, describing it in extreme detail. He also alleges that Will reacted violently after discovering Jada with Mark Anthony, causing injuries that required surgery. Jada strongly denied any of this, calling it a malicious lie from someone she says tried to extort their family. Still, in the story, Bilal isn't portrayed as a random outsider. He's shown as a former insider working on a memoir titled Will Smith: Demonic Circle. His claims raise one big question: what else might be hiding under the surface?
The name Brother Bilal may not be a name you heard of, but if you're Will Smith, it's the name of your former friend of nearly 40 years.
Now the story brings Jaden into the picture. This is the same young man who at 15 asked his father for legal emancipation after their movie After Earth failed and left him feeling embarrassed in public. In a 2024 interview, Jaden even admitted that his unusual behavior wasn't an act. He was struggling to find his place in a world that never really understood him. In this fictional storyline, sources say Jaden isn't talking to investigators just because of his parents. He's trying to uncover a bigger network that supposedly connects the family to powerful figures like Epstein and Diddy, people who have faced their own waves of accusations involving control, secret gatherings, and circles built on silence. The story references recently released documents showing Epstein's connections to a wide range of people, from filmmakers like Woody Allen to political strategists like Steve Bannon, with flight logs and schedules that continued even after his crimes had begun to surface. Meanwhile, in the narrative, Diddy's notorious parties, events described in old court filings have been brought back into public view as investigators claim to have found items during raids that match what witnesses said happened at those gatherings. In this fictional world, the similarities between these networks and the one Jaden describes are hard to ignore.
There was new names in some of the emails that I think investigators need to look at. In particular, I jumped on the name of a modeling agent who, in a similar fashion to Jean-Luc Brunel, who brought underage girls from overseas to Jeffrey Epstein for abuse. There was another man. What was interesting about this other individual is that he also apparently provided young models for Donald Trump's modeling agents.
This is where the story gets even darker. If what Jaden is saying is true, in this fictional world, this isn't just a family problem, it's the start of a possible federal investigation. The question becomes whether the Smiths were part of a bigger system where fame and access came with hidden expectations. In the story, people point out that Will had already been loosely connected to Epstein through distant third-party links back in 2023. There were also old claims from former assistant Alexis Kent, who said that Will and Jada were part of the rainbow community and that Will's first marriage ended after his ex allegedly found him with another man. The Smiths denied all of it, but in this narrative the pattern raises eyebrows, and now the situation looks even more serious. You have a son stepping forward with claims, former friends turning into accusers, and a long list of questions about what really happened behind closed doors. In the story, even the judge handling related matters seemed to
be taking that matter pretty seriously, and just pretty much said that, everyone, the judge, the attorneys, the witnesses' attorneys, the accusers' attorneys, they all have to adhere to these professional rules. They all have to adhere to this professional conduct. And if this continues, and if more things are said that get onto the
We've seen stories like this before. A celebrity's child speaks out, the public is shocked, the lawyers get involved, and the situation either disappears or turns into something too big to control. Think about the Jacksons, the Hiltons. The Kardashian scandal has followed them for years, but those were mostly personal dramas. This storyline is different here. A young man claims he was pressured into strange rituals by the very people who were supposed to protect him. It takes place in a world where the line than ever, and if Will Smith, someone who built his entire image on being the friendly, approachable guy next door, is at the center of this fictional web, then it raises a bigger question. What does that say about the industry that has supported and protected him for so long?
Prior to Jada, him and Jada having a relationship, I felt Will was pretty much almost an angelic person.
Now let's connect the dots in this fictional storyline. In the story, Will and Diddy have been close for years, showing up at the same events and publicly supporting each other. There are also references to Epstein's travel logs, placing Will near his circle, even if only through indirect connections. Jada's memoir Worthy added even more tension by revealing that she and Will had actually been separated for 7 years, long before the Oscars slap that shocked the world. After the incident, Jada even called
Sean Diddy Combs.
Right.
Would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably,
The questions in this story are piling up faster than the answers. If Jaden is really working with the FBI in this fictional world, what has he shared with them? Are there messages, videos, emails, or other evidence that support what he's saying? And if Will Smith is connected to these circles in the narrative, then who else might be involved? We've seen how Epstein's files pulled in everyone from politicians to tech billionaires. We've seen how Diddy's trial brought up names like Usher and Leonardo DiCaprio, even if only in passing, but this situation feels different. This isn't about a distant acquaintance or a celebrity who showed up at one party. This is about a father and son, about a family with a massive public image and a legacy that could collapse.
I don't know this, but it just seems very suspicious when you go through and you look at in the history of different people that can make you go away if you know. Listen, I've worried about some of
The Smiths have survived public drama before. Rumors about their marriage, the Oscars slapped the long-kept separation, but this situation isn't just another tabloid moment in the story. This is a son speaking out against his father with the weight of federal investigators behind him, and history tells us one thing: when the children start talking, the secrets don't stay hidden for long. So where does that leave us in this narrative, with more questions than answers and the feeling that we're standing on the edge of something huge? If Jaden's claims are true in the story, what other households might be hiding similar secrets? Who else in that inner circle is worried their name could be next? And maybe the most chilling thought of all, what happens when the people who were supposed to be victims become the ones who hold the power? One thing is for sure, in this fictional world, Hollywood's elite are watching with bated breath, because if Jaden Smith can take down Will Smith, then no one feels safe, and that fear.
Jesse, we've been talking about this, just how confident the defense appears that, they could get off on these charges. They could be acquitted, or possibly, who knows what could happen, just because, again, you are rolling the dice. This really does feel like just kind of like, just kind of like a gambling a little bit with Diddy's life in a sense, just because, if you're offered maybe X amount of time versus this huge amount of time.
The more we dig into this fictional story about Jaden Smith's alleged betrayal, the bigger one question becomes: what would make a son turn against his own father with this level of detail? People who claim to understand the family's dynamic in the story say it isn't just anger, it's survival. Sources close to Jaden suggest he spent years being pushed into situations he never agreed to. In this narrative, these industry networking events were actually strange rituals where the line between fame and exploitation disappeared once the doors closed. We've seen similar storylines before: children of celebrities trying to escape toxic legacies, from the Jacksons to the Hiltons. But what makes this one different is the federal angle. If Jaden really is working with the FBI in this fictional world, then his cooperation isn't emotional, it's strategic, and the timing couldn't be more dramatic. Right as the Epstein files were officially closed, right as Diddy's trial ended with more questions than answers, Jaden's claims suddenly appear like a perfectly placed explosive. Is it all a coincidence, or is this part of a bigger cleanup where the children of Hollywood's elite finally start exposing the systems their parents built?
So maybe the judge is going to give him more than time served.
But we should say that the maximum he could get is 20 years.
And that's what I want to get into for a minute, because this is some racist you-know-what. This man.
Now let's talk about the patterns in this fictional storyline, because they're hard to ignore. In the narrative, Will Smith's name has shown up around both Epstein and Diddy, not as a main figure but as someone on the edges of circles where power acted like currency and silence was the price of entry. There are references to flight logs, party guest lists, and even a rumored 2004 photo of Will at one of Diddy's wild parties where guests supposedly ate from nearly nude performers. Critics in the story have often pointed out how similar Diddy's events were to the private gatherings described in Epstein's world, both accused of creating spaces where normal boundaries disappeared and where participation felt expected, not optional. And now Jaden's claims suggest he wasn't just standing in the background at these places. In this fictional plot, he says he was pressured into being part of it, forced into situations by the very people who should have been protecting him. If that were true in the story, it would.
Are you done with Hollywood because of this
No,
specific reason?
I'm still working. I still, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe. I've proven what I've set out to do, and that's why I have all the patents. Whether they evaluate it or not. A race where the motives get complicated in this story. Why would Will Smith, a man known as America's dad,
risk so much in the fictional narrative? The answer may lie in the same playbook used by powerful figures like Epstein and Diddy. Insiders in the story suggest that Will's connections weren't just social, they were transactional. Need a role, a record deal, a favor from a studio executive. In this fictional world, the currency wasn't just money, it was compliance. And if Jaden's claims are true in this narrative, it explains why he's speaking out in the story. He isn't just talking, working with publishers who specialize in exposés, collecting stories and testimonies. Other celebrity children in this fictional universe have similar experiences, and the patterns are too striking to ignore. This isn't just one family's secrets being exposed in the story, it's a whole system, and Jaden might be the first domino.
Interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic,
Now let's connect the dots between Will's public image and the private whispers in this fictional story. In the narrative, Will's temper wasn't just for show. Sources claim he once lost control after discovering Jada with someone else, leaving her injured. Posts from a former assistant suggest Will's first marriage ended under mysterious circumstances, with rumors of infidelity involving a powerful industry figure. Court documents in the story describe Diddy's parties as more than just wild events. They were carefully planned with supplies that created coercive environments, and in the story Will was present at least once, smiling for the cameras, while a very different world went on behind the scenes. So when Jaden says he was pushed into these secret spaces, the question becomes, was he the only one, or are there others still silent, still protecting names we would never expect?
That he has with others, and just because no one else has been charged, which normally in a RICO case you would have others charged, it was a statute designed to get mob bosses, trying to get at criminal behavior that's like a web of criminal behavior that you can't necessarily prove, like the one thing or the statute of limitations expired on the other thing, but you're just showing this bad guy who's operating what's clearly an enterprise that over and over engages in criminal problems.
The Smith family's response in this fictional story is predictable: denials, legal threats, and the usual PR spin. But hey, race the issue in the narrative. The denials don't match the pattern. When Diddy's properties were raided, authorities found enough evidence to charge him with racketeering, but the trial left more questions than answers. When Epstein's files were closed, the public still doubted the outcome, especially because of gaps in his jail footage that sparked endless theories. Now with Jaden allegations gaining attention, the Smiths' strategy in the story feels familiar: shut it down, discredit the sources, and wait for the news to move on. But this time it might not work, because Jaden isn't just another accuser, he's family, and family knows where the secrets are buried, both literally and figuratively. In the fictional narrative, there are also financial connections. Will reportedly once loaned Dwayne Martin $1.4 million to help him with legal trouble. In the story, these kinds of favors are
the feds, Al Capone style, have not charged everything under the sun. They've charged 3 main charges: racketeering, trafficking, and the transport of a. And I'll tell you, I don't know about the racketeering charge. It's pretty sweeping, and I'll tell you what the general
a race where the story takes a much darker turn. If Jaden's allegations are actually part of a larger federal investigation in this fictional narrative, then this isn't just about one family's secrets, it's about a coordinated effort to break apart the same systems that protected powerful figures like Epstein and Diddy for years. Think about the timing in the story. The Epstein files were officially closed, yet the public still doesn't believe everything was revealed. Diddy's trial ended without full convictions, but the civil lawsuits continue to pile up, and now Jaden Smith, someone with influence in both Hollywood and the music world, is rumored to be working with the very agencies that couldn't fully crack those earlier cases. Is all of this just coincidence, or is this the start of a reckoning, one where the children of the elite finally get a chance to speak, and this time people are actually listening?
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers described the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious sex trafficking charges in a New York court.
Most chilling part of this fictional story, the pattern of celebrity family dramas like the Hiltons or the Kardashians were the next generation rebels against the system that built them, but those were mostly messy divorces, public arguments, and tabloid headlines. This is different in the story. This is a son allegedly armed with evidence, federal contacts, and even a publishing deal capable of turning his family's legacy into a cautionary tale. And if Will Smith is at the center of it in the narrative, what does that say about the industry that has protected him for so long? Remember, in the story, this is a man who once slapped Chris Rock on live
out and collect everybody's phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose. Read this right there.
Does this leave us in the story? We're looking at a tale that's only just starting to unfold. A son who might hold the keys to a kingdom built on lies. A father whose carefully crafted legacy could collapse under the weight of his own choices. And an entire industry that's about to see just how dangerous the truth can be, especially when it comes from the one person you least expect to turn against you. But hey, race the real twist. If Jaden speaking out is just the beginning, who else could fall? The faces we trust, the families we admire, the names we thought we knew. One thing is certain in this fictional narrative, it's no longer just about the Smiths, it's about every secret Hollywood has ever kept. And if Jaden is telling the truth, the floodgates might finally be opening. So what do you think? Will Jaden's actions bring down his father in the story, or is there a darker twist still waiting in the shadows? Drop your theories in the comments. Hit that like button if you're as shocked as we are, and don't forget to subscribe, because this story is far from over. Stay curious, stay fierce, and remember, in Hollywood the truth is always stranger than fiction. Until next time.